you know, we joke like you could end up in Kansas, you know, and not just that. I mean, you could hurt yourself. You can get, you know, big gusts. You can get lofted in the air, you know, 30, 40 feet. And
I think they're very goal-oriented. They will set a goal in their mind. They want to be a part of setting records, be doing something different that no one else has done, or going places. It's probably not a whole lot different than Christopher Columbus or explorers a long time ago, going places where no one else has been.
Well, it's just you and the wind, and you and nature. It's, you know, there's no vibration of a boat. There's no noise. I mean, the only thing you really hear is, you know, your board cutting through the water, and you know, your kite.
In Nebraska, it's very limited, mainly due to water sports for the extreme sports that they have.
It's definitely a sport that, you know, enables you to do it every season.
All you need is wind, and then the rest of it's a gimme.
Located just south of Gretna, Nebraska, lies the town of Weeping Water. Here, a group of individuals is finding a rush by soaring with the birds in the skies above the heartland.
I didn't plan to do it. My daughter had the idea that I guess I must have talked about it. She says, "Mom, you've always talked about this. You got to do it once before you're too old." And so we came out and we did a tandem together, like you see people here doing tandems. And you know, it was just supposed to be a one-time thing. I never planned on doing it more than once. And I thought about it all winter. It was just so awesome. So next spring I came back and did another tandem, thinking that I'd get out of my system. I signed up for the static line course to learn to jump by myself the next week. And it was kind of addictive downhill slope.
A friend said that she wanted to do it, but she didn't want to do it alone. So I'm like, hey, you know, why not? Let's do it.
And I did it as a bet, actually. Someone was telling me about it, and kind of was making a big deal out of the fact that they jumped out of airplanes and done a bunch of cool things, and so I was making a little bit of fun of them, and they said, "Why don't you do it?" And I said, "Well, I would, but it's too expensive. I can't pay for it." So they paid for it, and I had to do it, and I fell in love. One thing is that people have a lot of assumptions about skydiving, and that it is about defying death, or that it's crazy, that you have a 50-50 chance every time you get out of the airplane. So they don't have a true understanding of what the risks are. You know, there are real risks like we were talking about, but they're much smaller and they're much more managed than what people think. So most people immediately just dismiss the thought that they could ever do it.
For me, the scariest part would have to be going up in the plane, because I'm scared of heights and I'm scared of being in planes. Then all of a sudden the door will open up. Then you have to go stand on like the edge of the wheel and look down at it, and that's when it really starts kicking in.
You can tell when people do that when they come down by the look on their face, whether it's got them or not. I mean, some of them, they're just all grins, and you kind of know it's there.
I don't consider myself really an adrenaline junkie. I just enjoy it a lot.
Consider myself an extreme athlete? No, not really. Although the sport that I pursue, that I really love and that I'm reasonably good at, has some serious penalties if you screw it up.
I'm not an extreme athlete. I'm just a very average person.
Joan Garvey may call herself average, but she is one of the few Nebraskans who participate in a sport more dangerous than skydiving.
BASE stands for, it's an acronym, it stands for Buildings, Antenna, Spans, Earth. And those are the 4 things you can jump off of. It's more an extreme version of skydiving, because with base jumping, you're jumping off something lower, so you don't have as much time, and you're jumping with just one parachute, so you don't have a backup. So if that one parachute doesn't open, that's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, there's a huge sense of overcoming not only some physical challenge, but also the danger that's involved if it's truly an extreme sport. And that kind of satisfaction tends to translate into feelings of confidence.
My heart's pounding so fast, I don't know if it'll stop. Oh, wow. We could do it again.
When we travel, and we'll be in Colorado or in Texas or in Florida, and there will be people from Nebraska who are there skydiving, probably because they don't know it's in their backyard.
30 miles south of Omaha, surfers are making waves in the sand pits located off the banks of the Platte River.
Wake surfing is just like the same as normal surfing, except you're behind a boat. We take like your standard wakeboard boat, and we take a ton of water tanks that we call ballast tanks, and we just completely fill them up with water. So we probably throw an extra like 1,500 pounds in the back of the boat. We are able to create an artificial wave that's about waist high that we can surf just like any other ocean wave.
You use a real short rope and you kind of pull yourself in, and so you're riding right on that wall of water, and you can throw the rope in and just ride it. It's an endless wave. It's amazing.
I think Nebraska is quickly becoming a home to a lot of extreme sports. It's a community that's just like waiting for something to happen.
I did a story probably 25 years ago about people rollerblading, and people, these roller skating parks, they built one out by Irvington and Omaha, and I went out and did a story on it, and you know, and now it's a professional sports for these people that's televised on cable television, and who would have thought that that sport would become so popular? But at that time I can remember going to that skating park, oh, this is just a nice fun thing for kids to do. Well, it turned out to be a huge thing.
Right now, our youth is getting more and more involved in extreme sports or activities that, you know, aren't your average, like, you know, football, basketball, baseball. Like, they're realizing that wakeboarding and skateboarding, like bike riding, all that stuff are sports too.
It's not that people who are doing those kinds of things don't appreciate that they're dangerous. It's that they do get kind of a rush from involvement.
I don't think off the top of your head that you think that, you know, Nebraska is big for extreme sports, but I think once you kind of look into Nebraska and what it has to offer, I mean, all the opportunities are there.
You're not trying if you think there's nothing to do in Nebraska.
I think there's a lot of people have no idea it's here. I think that surprises a lot of people when they find that out.
It's a great way to just put in perspective everything else that's in your life, all the noise and trouble and problems that you've got. For a little while it becomes very much secondary to what you're doing, so you have a real moment of being alive.